What do we know at this stage?
Well, we know at this stage that Robert Lighthizer, the U.S. trade representative, and Chinese Vice Premier Liu He are expected to meet on or around August the 15th to talk about China's commitments as part of the Phase 1 trade deal and get an update. Now, this was always part of the plan that they would meet 6 months after signing the deal, and a reminder that China's commitments included purchases of U.S. agricultural goods worth $200 billion above 2017 levels. Now, China is a long way from making that commitment. In fact, some estimates suggest they are just halfway towards meeting those targets, even as they have stepped up the purchase of things like soybeans and corn from the US in the last few months. And of course, these discussions will be focusing on the trade picture, but broadly across the relationship, there are a number of friction points, as you well know, over everything from the Uyghurs in Xinjiang to Hong Kong to the South China Sea to the virus. So all of these things will be, at the very least, the backdrop for these trade negotiations, or these trade discussions, I should say. And we're also hearing from Dow Jones that Liu He is expected, the Chinese Vice Premier, to bring up and address the issue of Chinese tech companies. No doubt TikTok, ByteDance will be on his list of concerns when he talks to his US counterparts.
Yeah, and speaking of TikTok, of course, we've heard some pretty bold demands from President Trump as to how the US should get a slice of, the proceeds of any sale. Have we seen a reaction from Beijing?
We have seen a reaction from Beijing. As you say, we have heard just in the last few minutes or so from President Trump himself, just reiterating that he wants to see the US Treasury get a cut of any sale of TikTok, and also suggesting that he does think Microsoft is the US company best placed potentially to make that acquisition. In terms of China's response, we've had some pretty strongly worded editorials in the state media here. The China Daily saying and describing this as a smash and grab, saying it was officially sanctioned theft, and also suggesting, and this was interesting, that maybe Beijing would step in somehow to try and block the sale, though they didn't give details. Now, in terms of Trump's threat, what he said is by September the 15th, either TikTok has to be sold, the app, to a US company, or he's going to close it down. Now, he can close it down. He has the powers to do that by putting it on the entities list that would block the likes of Apple and Google from including TikTok in its app store. So he certainly has that power. But when it comes to this question of whether or not the US Treasury is going to get a slice of any sale or any deal, there's real question marks over whether President Trump and his team have the authority to do that. So we'll have to watch for any more developments on that front. Of course, historically in the past, Trump has made claims, for example, that they can get money, the Treasury can get reward from, for example, the building of the US wall, that Mexico would pay for that. That never happened. He's also suggested that it was the US that was going to benefit from these tariffs that they're putting in place on Chinese goods. Of course, it was mostly US importers who paid those tariffs, not Chinese exporters. So we'll have to see what he means by getting a slice of that. But certainly the broader concern for China is going to be that this moves beyond TikTok and ByteDance and moves to other tech companies, for example, Tencent and WeChat, and that is a company that's already been flagged by the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo.